Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to today's math lesson. Before we begin, please make sure that you have the following materials: math workbook, your pencil, and the attribute blocks. If you need to get any of those, please pause and then bring them back here now. All right, so today's lesson is more composite shapes. So we were working with composite shapes in the previous lesson that were composed of just two different blocks. So I'm thinking this is going to be even a more interesting lesson. In the meantime, we are working for answers for this question: how can I recognize two-dimensional shapes and equal shares? All right, so for now, let us go to our first math warm-up. Nico eats lunch at 12. He plays baseball at 4 in the afternoon. He goes to school at 8 o'clock in the morning. In what order do the events happen? Okay, so he eats lunch at 12 o'clock. He plays baseball at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he goes to school in the morning. So they specifically said in the morning. So I'm going to say that the order is school, oops, all wrong, school, then lunch, and then baseball. Okay? So, thumbs up if you agree with that. All right, let's check what they have for the answer. School, lunch, and baseball. Okay, so good job for us. All right, now let's go into your workbook, page 667. Okay, so this is where we are going to be using our pattern blocks or attribute blocks. They're the same. And then a pencil. All right, so I'm going to read the direction to you first. You're going to put two pattern blocks together and trace the shape. Draw a line to show your model. So they want a line in between, okay? Now put those pattern blocks together in a different way. Trace the new shape and draw a line to show your model. Okay, what all of that means is you get to pick any two of the blocks that you have in your bag, okay? Now think about this. You're going to pick two and make something. Once you do that, you trace it, make sure you put the line where the connection is, just like we did in the previous homework lesson that we practiced. And then you're going to take the same shapes. They have to be the same, okay? They can't be something different. Take the same two blocks and make a new shape with it. So if you would like to pause now, okay, and do that, and then come back, and I will also make my own shape. All right, so pause and do that now. Okay, so as you can see here, I've made two different shapes. The first one to me reminds me of a house, and I guess I kind of thought of that because of the background here. And then the second one, though it looks like all I did was turn it upside down, it's kind of a boxy looking ice cream cone maybe. So that's just the way I decided to make my shapes. So I'll be interested to see what ideas you came up with when you drew your own picture. Okay, let's turn the page now and go to the See and Show, all right? And I'm going to explain to you here what it says. It says you can move pattern blocks around to make different composite shapes. And here they showed us a bigger triangle, a composite triangle that is composed of a trapezoid and a smaller triangle. But then they moved one of the shapes, okay, to come up with something else, okay? And that is how we're going to work in our lesson today. All right, so let's look at number 1. Circle the pattern blocks used to make the composite shape. Okay, you can do that now. Then use those same blocks to make a new shape and draw your shape over to the side, all right? So make sure you circle the shapes that they used and then trace your new shape. Do that now. Okay, now for the next talk map, it says to describe two shapes that you could put together to make a rectangle. What shape could that be? Do you have those two shapes? Try them and see. Did you get a rectangle with those two squares? Yes, you guys are pros with that, right? Because we've been working with those squares quite often. Okay, let's look now. All right, now this is where it gets really fun and interesting. You're going to use the pattern blocks. Yes, I know you only have two triangles, but you can. Remember what we did last week? We copied, we traced, and then would move our shape. So even though you only have two triangles, you can trace it and continue to build another shape. So use the pattern blocks shown to make the composite shape. All right, so take your composite blocks, you have two triangles, and then now make a different shape and trace it right here, okay? Pause and then come back. Okay, now for number 3, all right, here we do have all these blocks. So what'll be even easier for you is that you can move these blocks around to make a different shape, okay, and trace it to see what comes, trace it to come up with another one, all right? So when you come back, you're gonna see what shape I made. Okay. So this was an idea that I came up with. I was just kind of playing with the blocks, and I decided to make this. It kind of reminds me of an arrow pointing towards the left. All right. Did you make the same shape, or did you find another one to do? All right, we'll talk about that later. Okay, here we go for our on my own. Oh, now we have these 3. This could be a lot of fun. All right. Pause it and make a new shape. Okay, here we go. Now we're on number 5 for problem solving. All right. Now, obviously, there are no answers because with this, you can come up with so many different ways of moving a shape that I won't have an answer. You get to show your work and to make something different than someone else. So here's one. Again, this one we'll have to trace a couple times to be able to make a shape. But Edgar is making different shapes using these 4 pattern blocks. Draw one of the shapes Edgar can make. Okay, now keep in mind, the composite shape has to be together. Okay, it cannot have just 3 and 1 floating somewhere, or 2 different shapes with only 2 blocks. It has to be together, all 4 blocks, okay? So pause it and make your new shape. All right, good job, boys and girls. Now we're at our last problem solving right here. And Alex has a hexagon. He cuts it apart into a trapezoid and 3 triangles. Draw lines to show this and then explain your answer. Okay, so I can do this with you. Let's see. I'm going to take my line and I'm going to cut it in half so that I have a trapezoid. Okay. Now I have to make 3 triangles, and we were playing with this. Do you remember when we were figuring this out? Okay, so I'm going to go from here to here. There's 1. And then I only have to draw 2 lines, and there's my 3 triangles. Okay? So now here comes how we're going to explain it. Okay? All right, so we are going to say that Alex cuts the hexagon in half. Okay, so now he has a trapezoid. Okay, he will cut 1/2, oops, spelled that wrong, half into 3 triangles. Okay, and that is how he gets his trapezoid and 3 triangles. All right, boys and girls, I hope you had fun with this. I really enjoy making different pictures with the blocks and figuring out ways to come up with new ideas, moving blocks around. Okay, so we will maybe do some of that during our math group and come up with some new composite shapes. Good job today.